Back in the day, if you wanted to send a message to someone, you would have to write that message out and give it to the mail person, whether that was a carrier bird or the actual mailman, and that can get to the person within 2 days or 2 months. If you wanted to see someone, a loved one or a friend, you would have to actually get on your horse, get in your car, or whatever your preferred travel method was at that time, and go and see that person. If you wanted to get some food, you would have to hunt. You would have to clean that food. You would have to season it and cook it. I don't know how long that took, but I'm sure it was a long time. Nowadays, you can send somebody a message in 0.5 seconds with the touch of a button. You can see your loved one on a Zoom call, FaceTime call within seconds. You can go to a McDonald's or whatever fast food restaurant of your choice and get a meal within less than 2 minutes. It seems like everything that used to take a long time back in the day, we can now have just like that. That is everything except for learning Spanish. However, in today's video, I want to teach you the fastest and the most reliable way to learn Spanish. So stay tuned. ¿Qué lo que mi gente? Yo soy Ricky de Bilingue Blogs. Thank you for tuning in to another video if you are a returning subscriber. If you're not, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. As you heard from the beginning, we're talking about how to learn Spanish fast. Step number 1 is to be consistent. What does being consistent look like? Being consistent looks like making your Spanish learning journey a lifestyle. I have a video talking about the 9 steps that I took to immerse myself in Spanish without leaving the country. As you guys know, I'm an American, but I speak Dominican Spanish con fluidez, sin problema. Todo el mundo me confunde con dominicano, pero yo no soy dominicano, yo soy americano. Pero yo me sumergí en el idioma y ustedes pueden verlo allí en ese video como yo lo hice. If you're not consistent, you're gonna have this cycle of back and forth, where you learn a little bit, but then you take a break. And then when you're taking that break, some of the stuff that you learn fades away. And that's when you get those mistakes where you start mixing things up. For example, instead of saying, yo quiero ir a la tienda, you start saying, yo quieres ir a la tienda. Cosas así, you know, things like that. You don't want those ugly errors that make you sound like a noob in Spanish. You want to sound fluent. You want to have everything correct. So you have to be consistent in order to do that. So that way you don't have to go back and review something that's very fundamental. You have to be relentless. You have to stay the course. But trust me, it's going to pay off and you will be surprised at how fast you learn, as opposed to those who, okay, I'm going to study here and then take 2 months off and then, you know, try to pick up where I left off. It doesn't look beautiful when you do that, and it does not go fast. And your goal is to learn fast, right? So be consistent. Step number 2 would be that you need to learn what you need to know. You ever heard of the phrase on a need to know basis? Learn Spanish on a need to know basis. What are you interested in? What is going to be your career path? What surrounds you? What are the topics of your world? When I first started learning Spanish, I wanted to know everything. I didn't read books, like, you know, novels, fiction books, nonfiction. No, I didn't read any of those. I would get my good old Spanish dictionary and I would read that because I wanted to know every single word. If I didn't know a word in Spanish, I would look it up in that English to Spanish, Spanish to English dictionary, and I would write it down in my notebook. For example, door handle. I remember this one very clearly because I looked at a door handle one day and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to say that in Spanish. Looked it up and it's manilla. I will never forget that because that's just the kind of person that I was. If I didn't know it in Spanish, I wanted to know every single word. However, I'm not a rocket scientist. I don't need to know about rocket science in Spanish. I don't need to know about astrophysics. And you know, certain things that I'm not going to be involved in my life, I don't need to know these words. I don't have to study those. So learn as far as vocabulary goes, learn the vocabulary that you're going to need. As far as grammar, you need to know all that because that's going to help you to be fluent. So, you know, you can kind of fly through that if you're good at understanding grammar. If you're not, then, you know, don't fly through it. Practice it. Make sure you have it down very well. When I'm learning vocabulary, I like to think about it like this. I have a circle. Well, first, it starts off with me in the middle. This dot represents me in the middle. Then there's an outside circle around me. These are the things that I come into contact with the most, the things that are most relevant to me. So I may talk about things that are in my apartment. I may talk about God. I may talk about Spanish, how to learn, how to teach, music, you know, things like that are important to me. Then there's a bigger circle outside of that circle, and that's the stuff that's less relevant to me. And then there's a bigger circle even outside of that that's not relevant to me at all. So when I'm learning vocabulary, I want to learn that way. If you want to learn fast, learn only the stuff that's relevant to your life. I think there's a misconception about fluency. People think that in order to be fluent, you have to know every single word. If that's the case, nobody's fluent. That's not fluency, guys. Fluency is, you know, being able to maneuver, to have decent conversations with people, and to feel comfortable doing so. Even if you make mistakes, you can still be fluent. It's not about being perfect. It's not about knowing all the words, but you do need to be at a high level. Step number 3 for learning Spanish fast will be to find a community. When you're doing things alone, it's easy. Very easy to slack off. It's easy to lose focus. It's very easy nowadays to get distracted with TikTok, with YouTube, with Instagram. All the different social medias that there are out there is very easy to get distracted. But that's why you need a community of people that are just like you, that want to learn Spanish or that want to learn English. So if you have people like you that want to learn Spanish, you guys can hold each other accountable and, you know, set a curriculum for yourself. Like, hey, we're gonna learn this week. We're gonna study this week, and maybe we should have some role play conversations. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'll correct you if you're wrong. You guys have to be on your P's and Q's. Even if you don't want to work that closely together, you can at least have somebody to bounce ideas off of, and you can, you know, kind of check each other. Like, hey, what did you study this week? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I studied that one last week. And what are you going to study this upcoming week? You know, things like that, to hold each other accountable. That's a great way to make sure that you're going to stay on task, and that will help you to learn faster as opposed to learning by yourself. Now, if you have somebody that wants to learn English and you're wanting to learn Spanish, then you can do a language exchange situation. It's 2021. I've gone over the several language exchange sites that you guys can use in other videos. It'll definitely help to keep you on the right path and to help you to be consistent, as we mentioned in step number 1, because, you know, you have that person, they're holding you accountable and you don't want to fail them, because I think a lot of us are very easy on ourselves. We don't mind failing ourselves because there's no penalty. But when you fail somebody else, you're like, man, not only did I let myself down, I let them down too, because I'm supposed to be their accountability partner, and we're supposed to be doing this together, right? At the end of the day, find a community. It's only going to help you. It's never going to hurt you. And last but not least, step number 4 is going to be to have fun. A lot like number 2, when I said, you know, learn what's relevant to you. Well, in order to learn, you need to do what's relevant to you. Do what you like as far as your learning style. Are you more of an audio learner? Listen to the vocabulary, listen to stories in Spanish and hear how the person is talking and imitate that. Are you a visual learner? Then make sure that when you're studying your vocab, you have pictures. Make sure that when you're learning phrases that you see people doing the action that is in these phrases. You know, cater to your learning style, but you have to make it fun and relevant to you. I talk about this in several videos as well. When you are reading a book that you don't want to read, it's not really going to stick with you. So if you don't like nonfiction, but you love fiction books, adventure books, then read adventure books. Don't read an autobiography that's going to bore you, because you're not going to be consistently reading that book. You're going to stray away from it. You're going to find every distraction you can to not read it. Whereas if you find this great adventure book or great sci-fi book, whatever book you are wanting to read, then it's going to keep you entertained, and you're going to be able to learn words that are relevant to you, because it's fiction, is your kind of fiction. So you're going to have a good time doing it. You know, shows, movies, books, games, whatever is fun to you, you can do it. I don't want to tell you how fast you can learn language. I don't know, because humans are always pushing the limit. But I do know it's not like every other thing that we can have instantly. You know, instant gratification does not work when it comes to learning a language. But if you put these 4 tips together, you will learn a language rather quickly. You guys can do it. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. Let me know how your language learning process is going, and what are you going to change after seeing this video. Comment down below. Also, share this video with people who want to learn Spanish fast. Hasta aquí el video de hoy, mi gente. Nos fuimos.